A simple way to transform a Coptic stitch book to a woven spine. To begin, you'll need the book that you want to sew, scratch paper and a pencil if you want to make a template, scissors, a straight or curved needle, up to you, both work, thread, and beeswax, optional but very helpful. For the sake of time, I've already made a template. Feel free to screenshot this if you like. I'll have it beside us as we sew. The first thing I like to do is to wax my thread. Just pulling it through the wax 3 or 4 times makes the thread a little bit more grippy. I prefer a curved needle to help loop around the signatures, but a straight needle works as well. I'm going to tie off the thread at the edge of the spine between the last cover and the last signature, just around the sewing that you've already done. Go ahead and get the thread back to the outside of the spine. Just stick it through the gap between that cover and last signature. And then pull the thread between the cover and the signature so that it's on the outside of the spine again. Hold the book spine facing you, and then we're going to make a zigzag pattern. To create this zigzag pattern, we're not going all the way from end to end for this first sewing. What we're going to do is stop at about 3 signatures from the end, between the third from the end and the second to last signature. I'm going to loop around that sewing, just around. I'm not going in the stitches. I'm just linking around the sewing that I've already done, just between the signatures. If you make a oops, you just pull it right out. You're not actually sewing back into what you've already done. When you pull it through, you'll have your first line of the zigzag. If your thread is a flat thread like mine, you might have to untwist it a little bit so that it lies flat. Then we're going to work our way back across the book between the cover and that last signature again. Make sure that you do not catch the thread that you've sewn through the cover. So I like to open up the cover just to double check. You're going to loop around the sewing and pull it back towards you. Check your thread to make it sure it's not all twisted up. And then we're going to zigzag back across between the third and the second to last signature. Link around your sewing just like you did before. The thread wants to get in the way, just push it aside and pull it through. If your thread gets twisty, take a moment to adjust it if you want to, and then we'll keep on going. The pattern is the same. Go back to the back cover and the last signature and loop around the sewing the thread that attaches the cover to the book. Make sure you don't catch the threads that run through the cover. At the bottom, we still go between that third to last and second to last signature. Pull the thread around. Go underneath. It's just going to make like a little loop or a little rainbow. And then you're back underneath, ready to go again. This time, we're not going between the cover and the last signature. We're just going one over. This one is a little more tricky because you're going around your links, but you don't want to catch the thread. So if it's helpful, you can open up the book to loop it around the sewing you've already done. And that's what it looks like. We're just going to jump one signature over as we work our way across the book. Loop around your sewing and pull it all the way through. Remember, we're between the next to last and last signature. Untwist your thread if it gets twisty, and then we're going back. Remember, try not to catch that thread. As you zigzag back, you can open up your book. So it's easier for me sometimes to open up my book and then just loop around and feed it back through the hole. You're not actually poking the thread, you're not sewing. So if you have an oops, you just pull it right back out. It doesn't hurt your binding. You can adjust the thread if it gets a little bit of slack. Just be careful not to poke your pages. And then work your way back. You're always moving one space over. So remember, we're going between the next to last and last signature. Loop around the sewing. You can try to untwist your thread if you need to. And then we're going to go back one more time. When you get to the end, loop around. And it does not matter if you have an odd number of stations on your book or even. This one has even. The process is the same. You're going to loop around and then you're going to go back underneath your sewing one station over. This time I'm going all the way across to the other side of the book. open up your book cover to make sure that you don't catch the thread that's connecting the cover to your book, and then pull the thread all the way through. Then go back across your book. We're just going one signature over. Be careful not to catch the threads that you've already zigzagged. Open up your book to double check if you need to. I just pull it through and then drop it right back out. And then pull your thread, zigzag back to the opposite side of your book. The same way as before, you're going between the last signature and the front cover. Wrap it around, make sure not to catch the thread on the cover, and pull your thread all the way through. And then we're going to zigzag back. Try not to catch those other parts of the zigzag. Open up your book if you need to see it. I just open up the book, look for the hole, and drop it in. Pull your thread all the way through. And now we're at the end of our zigzag. Go ahead and tie it off. Whether you have a book with even or odd stations, the process is the same. An even station book, you will tie it off on the cover. That's what I'm doing right now. Just pull it through and then tie it off on the thread that connects the station and the cover. You can choose to tie it off a different way. I make a couple little pretzel knots and call it good. Sometimes I knot it more, and then I cut it off, making sure to leave a little extra thread past the knot. If your book has an odd number of stations, you'll be tying off on the inside of one of the signatures. To do that, you'll take your thread, wrap it around your links that connect your signature, and then go through the hole of that signature to the inside. Sometimes it's going to be tight just because it's already been sewn. Take your needle and go through the hole of the signature, and you'll be tying your thread off on the inside of your signature, just the same way as you would with the cover. Loop it around the sewing you've already done and create a knot. The same way before, I'm making a little loop and I'm going back through the hole. And I'm doing this a couple times. Whatever knot you like is fine. We're ready to begin the other half of our zigzag. Just like before, you're taking your thread and you're tying it off between the cover and the first signature. Once again, I'm starting at the top. It doesn't matter, you could actually start at the bottom. It's up to you. Pull your thread back to the outside of the spine. If your little thread on the inside gets in the way, you can always tape it. This time we're going across and we're weaving between the other threads. It's up to you how you want to weave this, or if you even want to weave it at all. I usually go over, under, over. Just like before, we're going 3 signatures before the end of the book. You're linking between the third to last and second to last signature, pulling the thread underneath, and then we're going to zigzag across. To keep the same pattern, this time we're going under, over, under. Pull your thread through the weaving, and then go back to that first cover and first signature. Link between the cover and that signature. Try not to catch the threads that run through the cover. Pull your thread all the way through, and then we're going to weave again. Over, under, over. Looking back at this video, I realized that my weaving got off, but I try to keep the same pattern. But in the end, nobody will notice. I promise, hardly anybody ever does. We're going back across the book between the third to last and second to last signature. You will loop around the sewing that you created already, and then work your way back across. This time we're going under, over, under. If you're using flat thread like I am, it really wants to get twisted. I try the best I can. Sometimes I can't get it untwisted. I just rock on just because I want to keep sewing. So under, over, under, and then go back between the cover and that first signature. Loop around the thread that connects the cover. Try not to catch the thread on the cover itself. And then we're going to weave back across. Over, under, over, and then link between the third to last and second to last signature. Pull the thread around. We're going to loop over and make the rainbow shape. Then you're going to link under the second to last and last signature. Pull the thread around, and they're going to weave back, this time going under, over, under. We'll move one space over on our zigzag. It gets a little tight, so it's easier if you put the needle into the book and open up the book to make sure you don't catch your threads. I place my hand on the back of the book to keep the needle from moving, pull it through, and then I just drop it right back through again. You'll notice the hole, you'll notice the gap. Pull the thread through. Your thread will want to catch on the cover. Just take a breath and keep on going. Pull your thread through. And you're going to zigzag back. Keep on weaving. Under, over, under. Working your way across. Then you're going to link under one signature over. Put your needle between the second to last and last signature. Pull it under the links. Then we're weaving again, under, over, under. You're moving one signature over on the zigzag, opening up the book so you can work around that thread, loop around the sewing, pull your thread through, and then you're going to weave back the other direction. A straight needle may be easier for this, but the linking I found is easier with the curved. There's pros and cons about both needles. It's really a personal preference. We're close to being done. You can see the pattern developing. If you need to pull your thread out and fix anything, it's very simple. Just take the needle off and you can pick it out and unloop it. Very easy, and it doesn't mess up your binding that you've already sewn. Make the little rainbow shape with your thread, and you'll end up right back underneath that link ready to go. Weave across your book again. This time we're working all the way to that last cover and last signature. Then you'll loop around those links, making sure not to catch the thread that runs through the cover. Pull your thread back through. And then we're working over across the zigzag again. Weave across. You'll want to open up your book as the zigzag gets smaller and smaller. Keep the same pattern you did before, although if you don't, barely anybody will notice. We're going back between the last cover and the last signature. Poke your needle through, open up the cover to check you're not catching those threads, drop your needle back through the gap, and pull it through. And we're going back across to the other side of our zigzag. Weave through your threads. Then go between the third to last and second to last signature. Open up your book. Pull your needle through, then drop it back out so that it loops around those threads. And then we're weaving back across to the other side of our book, this time between the last cover and last signature. If you have a book with odd number of stations, you'll keep going. If your book has an even number of stations, your sewing will end between your last signature and your cover. Go ahead and tie it off just like we did before. Loop around your sewing so that your thread goes back to the inside of the book, and then tie your knot off on the thread that wraps through the cover. I do a couple little pretzel knots, and then sometimes I make one more additional knot just on that thread. And then I'll sneak back the thread back underneath the thread that wraps the cover so that it doesn't hang out the book, and chop it off. And I tuck my other thread in on the other side as well, using the needle to help pull it through. We can clip these or tape these, but I'll save that for another time. Go back and adjust the threads on the spine of your book just so that they're realigned, and you're done. For books that have an odd number of stations, you will do the same thing you did before. You will loop around your sewing, and then you'll go back in the hole of the signature and just tie it off. I loop back underneath the thread that sews through the book, making a little rainbow shape, then up back through the hole, pulling it tight. Then I repeat the process, looping underneath, making a rainbow shape, going up through the hole, pulling it tight, and then I'm going to do one more additional loop, making a pretzel shape, putting my finger over the top, and pulling the knot tight. What I like to do is weave my thread back underneath the sewing of my book, down through the sewing links I've already done, and then clip it off. And you're done. I hope you enjoy this decorative weaving. It works on multiple books. If you'd like to keep going, here's another bookbinding tutorial that you may be interested in that this weaving also works on.